Hello, everybody. Got some whoops there, which is very exciting. So, thank you for spending your afternoon with me, or a little section of it. I know you've had 2 days of conferences, so it's great to hang out with you for the next 20 minutes. My name's Emma. As Carrie said, I am the Senior Marketing Manager at Code First Girls, and today I'm going to be talking to you about upskilling and reskilling in the age of AI. But first of all, some quick introductions. Who are Code First Girls? Now, I can't see you at all, but raise your hand if you've heard of us. Oh, I can actually see quite a few hands. That's really, really great. So Code First Girls are known for getting women into their first or second jobs in tech. We are the largest provider of coding education to women globally. We work with organizations to help them find women in as far as tech recruitment is concerned, and then also upskill and reskill their existing employees. We work with over 130 organizations. You recognize some of those logos underneath. Some of you here may even work for them. But we work with the likes of Bank America, Nike, you can see there, Dunelm, BAE Systems, GCHQ. Really, most of you will know us for teaching women how to code. Have we taught anyone here how to code? Anyone here done a couple of our classes? Yes, awesome, I can see some hands. So we actually last year reached the milestone of teaching 200,000 women how to code, which is amazing, and we're very proud of that. And then this year, we've introduced Code First Teams. So this is really a sub-brand of the organization where we are helping different businesses upskill and reskill their employees. Our courses range from foundational courses in coding languages, and then we have more advanced training in data, cyber, AI, and machine learning. Right, that's the plug over. Now let's talk about upskilling and reskilling in the age of AI. This is a subject that it's incredibly difficult to get away from. There are so many talks here over the last day or two about AI. You can see the headlines everywhere. I think I even saw a meme last week about Kim Kardashian holding hands with a robot. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but women are apparently dating robots now. I also don't know if anyone else saw the Mango campaign that came out a couple of days or even last week. But Mango are supposedly leading the fall with this innovation and have done a whole fashion campaign targeted at teenagers using AI-generated models. It is slightly concerning that, as you can imagine, those models are not particularly diverse, and let's just say there's not a huge amount of body diversity there either. So raise your hand here if you are using AI at least once in your job at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. So you might be using Copilot, you might be using ChatGPT, and it is really scary. You know, I would be amiss to say I'm not feeling amazing about Kim Kardashian holding hands or dating a robot too. But you know what? It's a real opportunity, especially if we play it right and employers play it right. But first, let's place this AI revolution in context. Bear with me, we're going to have a bit of a history lesson. So, in history, there have been 4 skills revolutions. The first is the Industrial Revolution. This is a time where farmers are using machinery on farms for the first time. So, in order to look for work, because of course there were less farmers needed on farms, there was mass movement from agriculture into the cities, as these farmers had to really reskill themselves to work in factories for the first time. The UK was an absolute powerhouse for textiles at this time. All of a sudden we had the spinning jenny and the power loom, which men and women had to upskill to use. And really we had steam power around this time, which of course brought with it the railways. Then we have the second industrial revolution. This is really where we see mass production, electricity. If you can imagine turning on an electric light in your factory for the first time, probably felt like some kind of witchcraft, probably a little bit like using ChatGPT sometimes feels like now. We had iron and steel production. And this is really where we see automation used for the first time and workers using electricity. Then we have the information and electronic age. So we have electronics, computers, and really the rise of the internet. This is where we have our first digital communication. If you can imagine sending the first email, I know that we send enough of those today. We had the first requirement for software engineers. Of course, we needed people to be able to talk to the computers that we had just created, and the proliferation of coding skills required. Then we have the fourth skills revolution. This is really where we meet AI. We meet robotics and cybersecurity and machine learning. Now, the skills required for this fourth skills revolution are varied and still somewhat unknown, but we are seeing green shoots of organizations hiring for prompt engineers. AI, data, and governance is of high importance. And of course, we've already talked about cybersecurity and machine learning there. So what we have is this moment of upheaval in 2024, where we didn't quite finish the last skills revolution before we started the next. This means that we are here. We're at this moment in time where these two skills revolutions are happening simultaneously. We've never, ever seen this before. Now, there's a brilliant economist called Carlota Perez, I'd recommend you look her up, who talks about the 5 stages that happen in the adoption of new technologies. The first is incubation. This is really where we have the new discovery of technologies. Then we have installation. This is early adoption, and this is when the investors turn up with their wads of cash, hoping to make a little bit of money out of investment in this new tech. Then we have a moment of crisis. I don't know if any of you remember the boom and bust of Bitcoin. Hopefully no one here lost too much money, although if you've got Bitcoin now, you're probably laughing. But this is really a period of adjustment, so where inefficiencies are exposed within new technologies. Then we have wide deployment. So really we're looking at mainstream adoption of that technology at that time. And then we have exhaustion. And this is really where the technology reaches its max point and innovation sort of grinds to a halt. So right now we're at this moment where we have different skills revolutions that are at different stages of adoption. We have the third skills revolution, which is at the 4th stage of adoption. Some of you may be working in companies that are still scrabbling around to try and find enough software engineers and data analysts for their teams. We have the wide deployment of things like coding here and applications around coding. And then we have the 4th skills revolution, which is really at the installation phase. So this is early adoption and vast investment in new technologies. So organizations are having to grapple with the type of skills that they need for 2 skills revolutions simultaneously. This is why upskilling in 2024 has been so tough for organizations, and it's been a real challenge for them to keep up with the pace of change. Now let's talk about the impact of this revolution crossover, as I'm calling it. You can quote me later. I'm going to ask a couple of questions to you guys now, so I might need the lights put up again if that's all right, because I need some audience participation. So, the first question I'm going to ask, what is the average half-life of skills? And by half-life, I mean the time it takes for exactly half of your skills to no longer be relevant or required. Does anybody have any ideas? Let's put your hands up for 7 to 10 years? 5 to 7 years? Okay, looking around 30% of people think that, and then less than 5 years. Yeah, nice. So we're looking at less than 5 years. We're no longer living in a world where you go to school, you go to college, you go to university, and then off the back of that you're learning HALTs, you stay in a job for the rest of your life. We're at a moment of continuous upskilling. If you think about social media platforms, for example, 5 years ago it was all about Facebook, all about Twitter, all about Instagram. The skills that you really needed around then were sort of basic content scheduling. You were writing all of your posts yourself, and understanding algorithms to generate likes and comments. But now we're at a time with TikTok and Threads, and all of a sudden the skills that you need are generating short-form video. You need to understand how to work with influencers. And of course, you need to work with stuff like ChatGPT to help you generate your organic posts. And then you've got amazing low-code, no-code tools like Canva to help you be superstar designers. Okay, next question. In 2027, what percentage of work tasks will be automated by AI? Has anybody got any ideas on percentages? You can shout them out. I've got 60% over there. 50%? 700%. So the answer is 43%. And I was actually surprised at this as well. I thought this would be slightly higher, but this is from the World Economic Forum. But let me ask you, who here is still writing their own meeting notes? Who is using Copilot to already draft their emails and send them? Who's using Microsoft AI to schedule your meetings? And God knows we love ChatGPT for proofreading. But when we talk about the impact of this revolution crossover, thank you, we can turn the lights back down. It's getting a bit hot. We should actually really be talking about the disproportionate impact of the revolution crossover. What I mean by the disproportionate impact is the impact on women and minority groups. Now, this presentation is going to focus in on the experiences of women, but that is not to devalue the experiences of other minority groups who are equally impacted. Now, when we're talking about the disproportionate impact, we would be amiss not to talk about algorithmic bias. AI systems are trained on the data that we give it. Unfortunately, that data normally reflects societal biases. This can lead to discriminatory outcomes such as biased hiring algorithms and even wrongful criminal accusations. There's a brilliant study that came out in 2020 from MIT called Gender Shades. What they did is they looked at the accuracy of AI models with the big top 4 tech movers at the time. Error rates for identifying light-skinned men were at 0.8%. Error rates for identifying darker-skinned women were at 35%. I'm going to give you a real-life example of this now. So it's 2023. Your name is Portia Woodruff, and you're living in Detroit. You're 8 months pregnant. You're getting your daughter ready for school one day, and 6 policemen turn up at your door. You are taken to prison, and you are mistakenly arrested for robbery and carjacking. You're held there for 11 hours, the stress of which causes you to start contractions. You are only allowed to go to the hospital once you have provided £100,000 in bail. Portia Woodruff was a black woman. She was falsely accused due to faulty AI and recognition software. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, in 2023, Woodruff was one of at least 6 people to report being falsely accused of a crime due to facial recognition technology. All 6 of those people were black. Now, when we talk about lack of representation in AI development, according to the World Economic Forum, women make up only 22% of AI professionals worldwide. You may have heard of this, but back in 2018, Amazon created a recruitment software. This recruitment software was trained on data sets due to historical data, which of course were predominantly white men who were working in the business. It favored resumes with male-associated words such as confidence, architect, and leader. Not only that, it then penalized resumes that were associated with female words such as nurse, communicator, and caregiver. Now, thankfully, Amazon no longer use this recruitment tool, but it does just prove the importance of representation in AI development. And lastly, let's talk about job market disruption. So many jobs that are held by women are at risk of being replaced by AI. You may have heard this already. I know Karen Blake did a brilliant talk on this earlier. Research by the World Economic Forum shows that 58% of roles that are at risk of being replaced by automation are mostly held by women. These roles are such as customer service, administrative support, and also retail. These are industries where women are historically overrepresented. So what does this mean? It means that there's an increased job displacement for women. It means greater economic hardship for women. And it means that there is a need for real targeted upskilling and reskilling for women. So I'm going to give you some top tips. If you're an employer sitting there thinking, well, I need to upskill my team, but I want to do it in the right way, then this next slide is for you. Because the good news is that we don't have to go into this full skills revolution without thinking about how to do it with inclusivity at its core. So, my top tips for employers. Prioritize skills mapping and workforce planning. Really think about the skills of the future that you need and come at it with a real strategic mindset. The second, treat employees as partners and think about how they want to learn. Don't just provide an upskilling task or course to your employees and expect them to fit it into a half-hour lunch break, or do it, at 4:30, 5:30, where they're simultaneously trying to pick up their kids from school. Reshape recruitment processes, and so that you're hiring for skills rather than than experience. The Financial Skills Commission have actually just released a fantastic framework on this if you're interested. Get senior leadership buy-in and shape the mindset of middle managers. Upskilling and reskilling absolutely will not work unless you get the buy-in of the entire organization. And then lastly, it takes a village. Use your partners wisely. There is, of course, Code First Girls, but there are a lot of amazing organizations out there who are building these upskilling and reskilling programs that you can partner alongside with so you don't have to do this from the ground up. Then, my top tips for women in tech. So my top tips for you, if you are an employee sitting there thinking, I want to give myself the best shot to stay ahead in this fourth skills revolution. Make your skills future-proof. So look into high-demand skills areas like AI, data analysis, cybersecurity, software development, and cloud computing. Even a foundational course in coding will open doors to you in the future. And I know I've said this already, but please check out Code First Girls because all of our courses are for free for you guys. And actually, that's my next point. So leverage online learning platforms to help you get there. Gain practical experience. Look for internships. Look for volunteering opportunities where you can really take these new skills and put them in a real life and real world scenario. And then this one is a little bit preaching to the converted because you're already here. But participate in women-focused communities, expand your network. I know that the Code First Girls network would love to have you. And then this one is also related. So learn to advocate for yourself and others. Unfortunately, it's not enough anymore just to be good at your job. You have to find your voice and promote yourself and build each other up. So that's everything from me today. I've been Emma at Code First Girls. The team is here. We've got our stands just in the main foyer, so come find us if you have any questions. But again, thank you for spending a portion of your afternoon with me.